Another edition of Walking Digital Corridors. This week, we're talking about WhatsApp. Is it the underrated social networking platform of 2024? My name's the Bearded Sales Guy, otherwise known as Alex, the founder of Sapiro, and I'm joined by these lovely gentlemen.
Do you want to take us away, gents?
Yeah, hi all gents and Abbott, BDR at Content.ai, and a pleasure to be here on a wet and windy Thursday morning.
And I am Jordan Abbott, aka the Sales Poet, Business Development Manager at the Institute of Sales Professionals, and I'm still sort of in holiday mode, in all honesty. So apologies. The weather is definitely not representing that because it's absolutely miserable. But yeah, I'm looking forward to
That's
this
very good. That's a very good point. Are you technically still on holiday today, or is today a working day?
No, today's a working day.
Okay. We should probably mention why you were on holiday.
Yeah, so I took my partner, now fiance, away to propose.
Woo! Jordan is engaged. He's put a ring on it. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations. So, look, I know we talk about this topic of reaching an inflection point in sales. So I don't want to overdo that, but I can't help but think about the reality of the situation we find ourselves in sales. And 2021 for us, as I think you guys obviously know, but I think some of our audience knows by now, was a tough year. We reached the inflection point where buyer behavior had officially changed. I mean, we knew it had been changing for more than a decade until that moment. And I think COVID in some respects gave many solace for a period of time. It was all change, and we lost sight of reality of what was really happening with buyer behavior and sales motions and the misalignment of the two things. So what I think I'm seeing now is that go-to-market strategies are beginning to change. I think senior leadership are now realizing that they can no longer expect more from less and force their teams to just make more calls and send more emails and expect more pipeline. And so, when I think about WhatsApp, as I think about any other social media platform available to us as salespeople, and engaging with our buyers where they spend their time, I can't help but think about outbound, inbound, and nearbound. And for those that haven't heard about nearbound, this is a term that's coming up a lot in the US, where it's essentially one's ability to activate their existing network and the closest people to them within their network that like them the most. And that's where we're seeing a lot of relationships turn into commercial relationships in this world where trust is broken between buyer and seller. So, I'm going to ask you both, WhatsApp, for many, it's just a one-to-one comms channel, talking to your mates or talking to your closest customer. What's WhatsApp to you?
Yeah, I think it's a great summary. It's a one-to-one channel in my eyes. I know that they're adding new features and functionality with channels and communities, but for me, WhatsApp is, I wouldn't say the pinnacle, but I try to get on a WhatsApp basis with prospects, purely because I think at that point it's a bit of a stamp of approval. It's in a world where typically people will guard their phone number, their mobile number with their life out of fear of being absolutely bombarded by cold calls. For someone to share their mobile number and get on that one-to-one, more personal level of communication with you, it feels like, okay, there's an element of trust there. So that's how that's the point that I try to get to.
Great point from Mark. using WhatsApp as that direct communication channel with suppliers and customers. But it's almost like a win, isn't it? It's like, oh, a customer or prospect has shared their mobile number with me. We're communicating on WhatsApp. We must be friends. But they can still ghost you. Doesn't mean they're not going to ghost you, right?
Yeah.
Indeed.
I think also to add to that point as well, kind of going back to that kind of saying that it's a bit of a success, kind of being able to communicate via WhatsApp, goes back to that saying that I've mentioned to you before about that I relate to kind of business and prospects with their phone numbers. It's, if you've got a problem with me, text me. If you don't have my number, you obviously don't know me well enough to have a problem with me. But if you kind of change that from the fact of kind of, imagine me as a seller trying to get someone's number, that's exactly how the buyer feels. They want to kind of protect that, right? And definitely kind of seeing it a lot more, just harder to get hold of people via phone. So yeah, when you do get that opportunity to WhatsApp someone, it is kind of, it gives you that nice feeling as well, right? That actually you've kind of hit that milestone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
indeed. Morning, Neil. Nice to see you.
Morning, Neil. Yeah, I think it's a really good point. And to your point, Alex, that yeah, they can still ghost you. I think there's an etiquette to it, right? You wouldn't necessarily bombard one of your mates with messages if they don't reply instantly. So why would you do it to a prospect? You know, we see that happen in emails, no responses, so goes on to the next step of the cadence, which is another email. So within WhatsApp, there is a level of trust, but you have to maintain that level of trust. And a slight tangent here, but a few weeks back, 2 months ago, in fact, Jacco van der Kooij shared an article or a piece of research about SaaS losing go-to-market fit. And he covered a load of really great sort of points. But I think the main takeaway was we're all looking to drive efficiency, and the economy has accelerated that search for cost efficiency and efficiency. But what we need to do is first absolutely nail the human-led processes and then build out from there, whether it be product-led growth or AI or automations of any sort. So I think we are seeing a bit of a correction. We need to return to that human-led approach, and I think WhatsApp is a great goal or milestone to get to.
I agree that we almost need to go back to basics in a sense and remind salespeople, remind marketing teams that we're actually trying to build relationships with our audience and not just bombard them with messaging. Neil highlights some of the functionality that you can use within WhatsApp. So great if you can use video effectively and voice notes effectively, then it's an additional way of engaging with somebody at that one-to-one level. But let's just frame WhatsApp. I talked about outbound, inbound, and nearbound. Has something like, depending on which research you read, I've seen anywhere 2.4 billion and 2.8 billion active monthly users, and it's expected to get to 3.1 billion active monthly users by 2025. So this is a platform that is as big as Facebook, yet it's widely accepted in the business world now. And depending on which region you're in, it's more accepted in some countries than it is others. But on that point around some of the functionality, we've been playing around with it, and you know, there's channels, WhatsApp channels. So if you're thinking about building an audience in WhatsApp, you can build an audience by creating a channel. So if you're on the app, you go to the updates section. We've got our own Walking Digital Corridors channel there. And so, you know, still embryonic in a sense. How many followers have we got? I think we've got about 26 followers. So please follow us if you're using WhatsApp. And we post updates there periodically. But then you've got communities and building a community on WhatsApp. And within that, you've got groups. So you can have multiple groups as part of one larger community, not just the one-to-one messaging. And so I feel like there's an opportunity here for sales and marketing teams to unlock or crack the code for WhatsApp to create a far more human-based approach to sales and marketing. One, to your point, Jordan, that is more human. And we use this as the opportunity to be more human and don't ruin that chance and further exacerbate the loss of trust between people, buyers and sellers. Morning, Charlie.
Morning, Charlie, and thank you. I've just put the WhatsApp channel link in the comments in case anyone did want to join or follow, should I say?
Yeah. But what are your thoughts on that? So if we think about, you know, we don't like the traditional funnel on this call, but just for a moment, if we think about the traditional funnel and the various digital platforms, assets, channels. Again, I don't like the word channel, especially when we think about the importance of having to develop one's personal brand, activate and grow one's network, create content that makes you stand out and look different. WhatsApp's just another place. It's not a channel. It's a place that you can go to build relationships, build engagement with your audience. How are you guys thinking? You're both in sales roles. You're both kind of AEs/SDRs. How do you feel about utilizing some of the WhatsApp capabilities that I was just talking about, communities, one-to-one messaging?
Yeah, so I'll start on the one-to-one messaging piece purely because Victor has shared a comment. So WhatsApp, for want of a better phrase, states that non-personal use is against the terms of service. So how do we approach any prospective WhatsApp outreach? So I think that's the dangerous territory, right? The reason that WhatsApp is so great is because or where I've seen it to be effective is when someone personally gives me their mobile number and says, reach out on WhatsApp. So they're, for want of a better term, opting in, or no, they're giving me permission to reach out to them, right?
Yeah.
Where I think we, again, is something that we're great at in sales, when something is cut from the efficiency cloth, we work it to death. If we start to harvest mobile numbers off of any of the data harvesting tools, data enrichment tools, Cognism, other brands available, that's when we end up killing it as an effective way to communicate. Because if we're just using it for mass outreach, mass prospecting, then it's completely ineffective. And we're seeing something similar happen to email, right? So it's only effective when you get to that point with a prospect where you've built that relationship, you've built rapport with them, and they're giving you explicit consent, to actually communicate with them via that channel. So on a one-to-one basis, it is, once you've actually got a relationship. In terms of channels and communities, potentially that's where you can leverage, or you could leverage channels or communities to try and bring those prospects that are on the outer spheres of your circle of influence, your circle of trust, as they talk about in, what is it, Meet the Fockers, Meet the Parents, one of the
Yeah.
but perhaps you can leverage that to keep top of mind for those prospects that you haven't yet had a chance to build a relationship with. You can share insight, you can create conversation, because as we know from our experience, the only time communities work is when they become self-fulfilling and there's conversation from all directions, not just you standing on a soapbox. But if you can foster that location and help to guide the conversation at times, then that's a great way to bring people closer and potentially then get the opportunity to go one-to-one. Anyway, I've realised I've rambled for quite some time there. So, gents, what are your thoughts?
Well, and thank you for the reference to Meet the Fockers. I just had a visual of a cat being milked. Anyone's seen the film?
I had that in mind when the baby does it. No, look, kind of, I need to use WhatsApp more. That's one thing I've kind of identified. It's something that I would love to use more. And again, right, it's not like Jordan, like you said, it's not going to be the destination where you do spam people and try and prospect and reach out. It's actually kind of, or I find it works best in once you've had a conversation with someone and you're going to continue that conversation, actually dropping, kind of just hinting the fact that, hey, look, actually, as well as kind of, I'm on LinkedIn and you can catch me via email or whatever it is, also mention, hey, look, I'm also on WhatsApp, and actually you may get a quicker response via WhatsApp. So if you want to take the conversation in that destination, then I'm more than happy to. Right. And I've also found that you're giving them permission to say, hey, look, you can reach out to me anytime, but it's just a little bit more subtle, right? And it's kind of that's the way that I kind of try and use it. I mean, please, both of you, share if you've got any other ideas of how you can actually try and get someone communicate by WhatsApp.
Well, I think there's a nice sort of conversation happening in the comments between Victor Paddy and Neil Johnson. So, if I think about the way that I'm using WhatsApp, and it is a test. This isn't me saying I have the solution. This is me saying there's an opportunity here. We need to explore this for all the right reasons to see if it can help us be successful in sales. And when I say that, I mean build human to human connections with our network, with our audience. And so what I'm finding is that, and I guess to Victor's initial point, I get that, WhatsApp, personal WhatsApp, is slightly different to business WhatsApp. So I've decided to convert my own personal WhatsApp to a business account. And there are some additional features that you get with that, but equally, there are some features I lose. So I don't have the ability to create multiple groups and connect them into one community for some reason. But I do have the ability to label all of my conversations and filter on those conversations, which is it's a godsend, especially when WhatsApp becomes incredibly busy. But I think the channel is an interesting one. It gives me an opportunity to share insight, things about walking digital corridors with those people that choose to follow, and they don't see each other, which is great. So it's a bit like, it's a channel. It's like broadcasting content to people that choose to follow. I've then created a group. So this is a group of friends that I've worked with in business over the last 23 years, and got about 100 friends in that group, where it's more personal stuff, asking for thoughts and ideas. But whilst they're friends, people I've worked with, I see that as my inner circle, to your point, Jordan. I'm not going to go pitching to them. Well, neither should we go pitching to people in our network when we think about it. And then the one-to-one messaging piece for me is most dialogue now is done in WhatsApp for me, or I'm scheduling a call on Teams or Zoom. And if I take a step back, it's really thinking about this strategically. So, what am I trying to achieve as an individual, as part of the business? How can I leverage the capabilities within WhatsApp to increase my visibility and to engage more closely on a one-to-one level or a group level? And what role does WhatsApp play in the grand scheme of things when, there's half a dozen digital platforms that gets me closer to my audience? So conscious of time, are there any closing comments from you both? Any thoughts? What tip can you give? What's worked for you? What hasn't worked for you? Anything you can give our audience?
Yeah, I think it is just it's the fact that it's a human again, for use of a better term, channel. So treat it that way. The way that I message on WhatsApp is how I would speak. And I think that's important. Obviously, I don't use slang and etc. But it's professional, but it's very human. So to keep it that way.
Yeah. And channel. I need a bleeper. We're going to stop referring to social media platforms as channels. It's a place. It's a place you can choose to spend your time with others, either on a one-to-one basis or one-to-many. Jensen?
Cool. I would actually have to say this is the first week that I'm probably tipless. In all honesty, so Alex, if you've got two tips, feel free to share, because for me it's been more of kind of just learning, listening to you guys as well, hearing how you guys use it effectively.
Yeah, and every day's a school day, so we don't have all the answers, but we do want this show to be a place where we learn together. So if anyone does have any tips, does want to come on the show, drop us a note and we'll have you on and we'll talk about how you're using digital, how you're walking digital corridors effectively, so that you can share that with others.
You can borrow Neil's tip.
Yeah, that's why I was pointing. Actually, that's great. Great what Neil said. Concept for you. LinkedIn creates the connections. WhatsApp deepens them. And that was very well said, Neil.
That's a mic drop moment.
That is.
That is. And on that bombshell, as Jeremy Clarkson says. Cool. All right, guys. Well, thank you for a great discussion. Thank you to everybody that's commented or listened. We really do enjoy the comments from you. It kind of makes the conversation, makes the conversation far more interesting when we hear your thoughts and insights, and hopefully we can steer the conversation towards you guys, the audience, which is what it's all about for us. So until next week, have a great week. See you next time.